Hi everybody, this is JJ from JJArtworks, and welcome to a very special episode on YouTube today. This is something that is very important to me. So today is March 19th, 2025, and today is officially my 44th birthday. So I'm very happy I've made it this far. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for creating me. And I'm just happy that, I'm still alive on planet Earth. I'm still an entrepreneur. But more importantly, and this is what I want to share with everybody, today marks exactly 20 years that I've been self-employed, that I've been an artist, that I've been a small business owner. And I know that it's to the exact day because when I decided to leave corporate America 20 years ago, I planned it so I exited out of corporate America on my 24th birthday. So today is exactly 20 years that I've been self-employed. For those of you that don't know me from back in the day, 20 years or so ago, I was working at an art retail store in Woburn, Massachusetts called Charette. And I'd been there, I think, for about a year and a half or maybe almost 2 years. I started off in the art retail store. It's now a U-Haul, but it started off as an art retail store, and then they had a corporate office upstairs, and then eventually I transitioned upstairs to a calling queue or our customer service calling center, and I was keying in orders for their online sales. And I just decided, I'm like, you know what? I just really want to focus on this art and music thing because that's what I'm passionate about. And I decided to quit on my 24th birthday. So I wanted to share with you all today the three most important lessons I've learned from being self-employed for 20 years. Because my trajectory has been all over the place. There's been peaks and valleys. The marketplace has shifted. I didn't start off running a paint and sip company. I didn't ever think I was gonna start acting or anything like that. So my journey's been all over the place. And for those of you that don't know who I am from a hole in the wall, if this is your first time coming on our YouTube channel, first of all, thank you so much. I really appreciate you tuning in. But I'm a full-fledged artist and entrepreneur spread across many different disciplines. I am a painter, I'm a singer, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm a voiceover artist, I'm a martial artist, I do Taekwondo. I go for my black belt in May, so wish me luck. Really excited about that. But I've kind of done it all, and I just wanted to share basically three key lessons I've learned from being self-employed for 20 years, because there's been many times where I wanted to throw in the towel. There's been many times where I'm like, is this artist thing really what I should be doing? Should I just get a nice cushy 9-to-5 job? And for some reason, I just continue to feel compelled to stand on my own 2 feet on my own terms without having a boss yell over my shoulder or anything like that. I've had many family members and friends get their jobs taken away from them from being laid off, and just having that fear has really kept me away from having a nice cushy 9-to-5 job. There are times where I'm like, I really could use a consistent paycheck, but for some reason I keep feeling compelled to stand on my own 2 feet. So let me get into lesson number one. The first lesson I've learned as an entrepreneur and as a self-employed artist is that it's okay for your dreams to evolve. When I first started being self-employed 20 years ago, I just wanted to be a self-employed painter, and I wanted to really pursue my music career. At the time, I was in a local band. We were doing East Coast tours, and when I turned 24, I'm like, I really want to make it by 25. When I'm 25 years old, I want to be in a tour bus and I want to be opening up for Metallica. It takes way longer than a year for all that to manifest. But anyway, and I never got to that point. But on my 24th birthday, I really had these visions of me making it in the music industry, and then also just being a self-employed painter. So those are kind of the two big things in my life going for me. And when I started off as a painter, I really just started off doing art galleries, doing art festivals. But it first starts off, you don't know what direction to move in. Like with the music, I knew, we write music and we gig out on the weekends and we maybe do a quick East Coast tour. But with the painting career, my painting career was the thing that was providing me the freedom in the band. That was the thing that was sort of like my bread and butter, bringing the money in. So you really kind of throw a lot of spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks as a painter. And I first started off doing commission work for people, so people would hire me to paint their dog bingo. I might have a bar or restaurant hire me to do a mural in their at their venue. And then it morphed into, okay, let's start actually reaching out to some art galleries, and let's start doing let's start doing some art galleries, maybe cafes, pop-up shops, things like that. And then it morphed into, oh wow, let's buy an easy up tent and start doing some art festivals. So even within that category of painting, or the painting industry, there's a lot of different evolution going on there. But then, 10 years after being a self-employed painter and trying to make it with my music career, and I'm not even gonna get into the music career, that's a whole entire other video. I decided to do a paint and sip company. And around that same time, I just started to get into acting. I was seeing my sister, she's an actress in LA, and she inspired me to get into acting. So I'm like, let's try that. And then I was like, I really like writing. Let me publish a book, and let me start a podcast, and let me start building a YouTube channel. It's okay for your dreams to evolve. If I just had the mindset of, I'm just painting for 20 years, and if the band works out, that's great, but I really just want to paint for 20 years and that's it, and you got your blinders on. I think as an artist, because I'm sure many of you are self-employed artists or solo entrepreneurs watching this, you're not allowing yourself the freedom and the breath to sort of evolve as an artist. I'm sure some of you might be a painter but also a singer. Some of you might be a musician but you're also an actor. If you're an actor, you might also be a writer. Maybe you like writing screenplays, I don't know. So it's okay for your dreams to evolve. Follow your inner heart, your inner wisdom, follow that inner intuition, and when you feel a nudge, go for it. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two that I learned from being self-employed for 20 years. This is more of a logical, logistical operations type thing. Don't hire your first employee too soon. And when I talk about employee, I mean like a legit W-2 employee. They're on the books, they're on the payroll, you're paying them a salary. If you are an artist or a solo entrepreneur watching this right now, you may or may not know I run a paint and sip company, right? And you don't want to be too fast to hire someone on the books. It's okay to hire contractors, 1099 contractors, W-9s, but don't be too fast to hire W-2 employees, because when you hire a W-2 employee, you are locked in. You are like their parents. You're taking care of them. And just a quick story and why this was such a big pivotal lesson for me. During the height of COVID, so not 2020, but maybe the beginning of 2021, we decided to go do virtual paint parties. And that was sort of like a watershed moment for us. It was like a really big decision for us to kind of move in that direction. There was a lot of logistics that had to happen on the back end, but it was our saving grace. We, did hundreds of thousands of dollars that year, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. And it got to the point where I was so focused on sales and doing event coordination and boxing up these paint kits that we'd ship out to people, that I needed more hands to help me out. So in that year, I think 2021, I hired a shipping and receiving manager, which was my first W-2, and then I had other contractors on my team that did other operational type things. So I had an office manager that was giving me maybe 15, 20 hours a week, and then I had a bookkeeper that was helping out with my accounting and everything, and she was giving me like maybe 5 hours a week or so. And it freed up my time to focus on sales and everything. But I hired that shipping and receiving manager a little bit too soon. And what happened was, it was legit. I had him sign a, what do they call it? Like an onboarding form or something, like you will be a W-2 working for JJArtworks. And, we did paperwork and everything like that. And I was like, I can't afford benefits right now, but now I'm kind of getting into too much into the minutia of everything. But what happened was I thought I could pay a certain salary, and I couldn't, because what happened was we were making so much revenue from the virtual paint parties, and then the marketplace shifted and people were getting vaccinated and being healthier, and less virtual paint parties were happening and more in-person paint parties were happening. So I didn't really have the need for a shipping and receiving manager, and I couldn't anticipate certain dollars and cents coming in anymore. And I ended up dipping into my savings a lot. I know this is me being super vulnerable, but I want to help you guys out. So I was, throwing tons of cash on the business, trying to cover his salary and everything. And this is the other thing, you guys, with the W-2 is that it doesn't matter if you're killing it in sales, or if it's a peak season, or if it's a low season, if it's a drought, you still pay them X amount of dollars every week on autopilot, no matter what. You don't start cutting their pay. You just have to keep paying them consistently. So the company started bleeding money, and I wasn't sure what to do. So I had to make some really tough decisions, and after a year and a half, I had to let that person go. And I felt like the biggest failure. I felt like I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur. All the doubts come in your head. And it was just a very, very difficult time for me. So that's lesson number 2. Don't hire a W-2 sooner than you should, right? If you're a solo entrepreneur or a solo artist watching this, hire 1099 contractors first. There's nothing wrong with hire family members, hire friends. Don't be too fast to jump to W-2. I think you need to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars to justify paying someone a salary. I would even go as far as saying $500,000 or more in revenue you should be making. So you can do a lot of this on your own. If you're an artist watching this, you're probably really good at multitasking and all that stuff. So anyways, that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3, this is very important and people neglect this, including myself. Take care of your mental health as you're going on this art journey, as you're going on this entrepreneur journey. You really need to be taking care of your mental health. I used to pride myself on the hustle and grind culture. I used to pride myself on working 80 hours a week. This hustle and grind culture, you're not an entrepreneur unless you're working like 80 hours a week. There was one time where I worked 100 hours a week, and this is what put me in the psych ward. Again, for those of you that are new to this YouTube channel, I also do talk about mental health awareness. I am an artist that suffers from bipolar disorder number 1. So I have been in the hospital in the psych ward a couple of times. And I'm not going to get too much into that. You can watch other YouTube videos on mental health awareness. There's a playlist dedicated to that. But basically, the last hospitalization that happened to me last summer, it was due to overwork. And I can't stress enough how much you don't have to overdo it in business to have a successful business, to feel successful. And your mental health is everything. If you don't get enough rest, if you don't have human connection, if you don't exercise, eat healthy, keep moving, right? Drink lots of water. Mental health does go with your physical health as well, but I'm talking about feeling like you have to be just focused on the work every day with blinders on. You don't have time for cookouts or funerals or weddings. And I used to be that way. I 100% used to be that way. But if you're just laser focused on work, I need to reach my goal. I'm not going to be happy unless I achieve my goal. And you're just tying your self-worth to a goal, you're setting yourself up for failure and burnout. So, like I said, I really, this probably should be number 1. I wanted to save the most important one for last, but focus on your mental health, right? Don't let the work take the steering wheel and drive you off a cliff. Not worth it. Not worth it. At the end of the day, family and friends all day long. That's what you want to achieve. So, yeah, you guys. So that's my 3 big lessons. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun shooting this video. I'm going to start recording more videos related to how to run a paint party business. I think I'm finally at that point in time where I'd like to share, my teachings and coachings with the world. So if that's something you're interested in, if you run a paint and sip company, leave a comment below. Let me know what type of content you want me to come up with. I have lots of ideas, but I'd like to hear from you as well. I mean, the whole YouTube channel, the reason behind it is to help out other artists and creative entrepreneurs. I've been self-employed for 20 years. I've been running a paint and sip company for 10 years. And I have taken many, many risks in my life, both financially and, public humiliation wise, right? Taking risks on being criticized for painting, singing, acting, writing, all that stuff. So I'm at a point where, I want to start sharing more. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And I hope to talk to you soon, and have a great day, you guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.